Welcome back to another video about Logbook Pro. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the graphs capability in Logbook Pro. Something that seems simple and straightforward, yet I'm going to show you how powerful the graphing capability of Logbook Pro really is. You can get to graphs by either clicking the Graphs button on the toolbar, showing the sidebar in the Graphs section, or from the Graphs menu on the main toolbar. And we'll go ahead and fire up a graph. Let's take a look at our flights by year, and we'll get started taking a look at the graphing capabilities. When you start the graph section or the report section, you have the option of actually filtering your data by date criteria, as you see here with the date filter that you're presented with when you initiate a graph. The default date configuration is to start with the beginning of the current year up to the current day. You can also choose to select preset date settings by clicking the Dates button. And as you can see, the options are this month, this quarter, this year, last month, quarter, year, and then preset number of days, months, and years. We'll go ahead and choose the option of all data for this particular chart, which is going to bypass any filtering and present us all information available within our logbook data file. I also want to take a moment here and show you that many people think you have to click a lot of times to change the dates. If maybe you want to go back to 1970s, let me show you a quick way. Click on the year. By doing so, that will bring up this up and down arrow, and now you can rapidly change the years. Click on the month, and that brings up a list to change the month values. So you can quickly change the year by clicking on the year, or the month by clicking on the month, and then selecting the day within the calendar displayed. This is the starting date, this is the ending date of your filter. If we choose the All Data button, then we are going to bypass any calendar settings we have. Otherwise, you click the Generate Graph button, which will take into account the filters, the date criteria that you have specified, and generate a graph with that date. Let's show all the data. As you can see, in a flash, we just went through thousands of hours of logbook data and displayed a chart in no time flat. We've got our chart that is color-coded, which pairs up to the legend on the right side of the screen. You can also place your mouse over top of any of the bars, and that will display the value of that bar. But let's go over the sub-toolbar that applies to the graph area. We can print the graph. We can copy the graph to the Windows clipboard, which can then be pasted into a Microsoft PowerPoint presentation, a Word document, anywhere where you can paste a graph, a graphics editing program. We can export our graph into a JPEG bitmap, Portable Networks graphics file, or take it straight to a web page. We can refresh the data. We can reset the graph to the defaults if we get into formatting or changing anything. But if you were to go into the logbook area, change a value or correct something, come back to this very chart, all you have to do is click the refresh button and the data will be updated and the chart will display the correct value. We can change our date filter by clicking the date icon here on the sub-toolbar. We can toggle whether or not we want to see the legend. The legend is over here on the right side of the screen. So as you see, as we remove the legend or show the legend, we'll go ahead and remove the legend just to clean up the display here. We can put a chart border on the plot area, as you see. We can display grid lines. We'll go ahead and clean up the display. We can have the values show all the time. You can see the values that are displayed on top of the bars now. We can also work with some formatting, such as change the effects. A little hard to see with this color scheme, but we're going to change the color scheme in a moment. You can see the frame that displayed. We can change from bar to pie. Notice when we're in the pie mode that we're showing percentages versus values. We can go from a horizontal bar chart or a vertical bar chart. We can change the formatting, such as the colors. See, we make the different color scheme, the plot back color, the text color. You can pretty much format this to your heart's content. Let's see if we can pick a little better color here. So we can look at some of our effects. As you can see, different effects you can set for your graph, and it will remember that. So when you come back to the exact same filter, in this case no filter, we're looking at all data. The filter is displayed up in the caption of the window for the application. So if you had a date filter, you would actually see the date filter criteria up in the main title bar. Let's go ahead and hide our formatting. Now let's take a look at some of the interactivity we can have with our graph. Let me get the formatting back to the reset options. Okay. By clicking on this tips button on the sub toolbar, we can see that we can actually rotate this graph three-dimensional by holding down both mouse buttons and then moving the mouse. We can actually move the chart around by pressing the shift and then both mouse buttons, scale it, zoom it, and then when we get to the pie view, we can drag a slice, or if we click the R on the keyboard, we can actually reset the chart. Primarily the pie chart is what we're talking about there. So let's click both the left and right mouse buttons and drag the mouse around. Notice how we're actually viewing the chart here in 3D. Pretty neat. One of the other tips, let's press the shift button and then both mouse buttons, and we see we can actually move the area around. Let's zoom in to this section here. I'm pressing the control key down and then dragging a marquee over this chart data. You can see we've actually zoomed in on our data. We can again hold both mouse buttons down and rotate 3D. I hit the R key on the keyboard to reset. Let's take a look at our pie value. You can see that here is a slice that's been dragged out. We can drag this slice out by left click and drag, left click and drag. Let's show our values, which will show in percentages in the pie view. Where I put my mouse over a slice, we'll actually see the year, and then in parentheses the value of flights. So 1985, 335 flights. And again, we can rotate. So maybe we don't want a 3D view of this. Make the values a little easier to read. Press the R, and it will reset the chart. And we'll go back to the bar chart. And that, in a nutshell, is the graphing capability. Plenty of graphs. You can actually look at graphs by aircraft type, category, class, aircraft characteristics, power characteristics, month and year, and then you can look at the same presentation. In this case, we'll go hours by year. Remember, right now we're looking at flights by year, and you can see here is your year axis, here's your hours axis. If you actually to show the grids, we can see that we're just over 300, which is this grid line. So yeah, graphing is a very powerful, very fast capability in Logbook Pro, and will help provide a visual tool to analyze your data and look at any trends such as flight activity, etc. Hope you enjoyed this video.